Hi, welcome to our channel. For today's video, we will recap a sci-fi action film called In Time from 2011. Humanity in the year 2169 utilized genetic manipulation to halt aging at 25, where time holds the value of wealth, granting immortality to the rich. However, a man of poverty, given centuries of time, finds himself hunted for a murder he didn't commit. Have you seen this movie yet? If not, grab some popcorn and enjoy. Many years into the future, humans have found a way to manipulate their age thanks to genetic modification. The one catch is that they would only have a year left to live after they reach the age of 25. Time is now the universal currency, with a person's life displayed on their forearm with a timer. Whereas the impoverished genuinely live paycheck to paycheck, the wealthy can essentially live forever. It's less than 24 hours to the day when Will wakes up. Grateful for his mother Rachel's 50th birthday, he bows down to say hello. Reminding Will of the expenses and loans they must pay, Rachel tells him she only has 3 days left. She is reassured by Will that he will find the money. Rachel says she will pay back a debt and will be working away for 2 days. She informs Will that in order to give her more time, they must meet at a bus station. She then gives Will 30 minutes to pay for a filling lunch. Will gives her a final kiss before leaving for work. Maya is a little girl that Will meets on his way to work. When she requests for 1 minute, Will kindly grants her 5 and then sends her on her way. Once at work, he meets up with his friend Burrell. Will is employed at a factory producing timekeeping machines. He checks off and gets paid after a long day at work. When Will realizes that his payment is insufficient, he asks for more, but the distributor responds that Will didn't meet the quota because it has increased. Later on, Will meets heads in a local bar where he declines several men's invitations to bet after reminding the person that he still owes Will 1 hour. He promptly receives his payment and leaves. He meets up with Burrell, who is drunk, and beckons to a person who has been purchasing drinks for everyone. He claims that the man has lived for more than a century. When Will notices that someone is observing the man, he chooses to let the man know that he is being monitored. His name is Henry. The man is drawing too much attention, so Will orders him to go, but he resists. Suddenly, everyone at the pub is running out as a gang enters. Burrell informs Will that they are gangsters or Minutemen. Even after Burrell pulls Will away, Will plans to remain and observe. He tells Burrell not to worry and that he wouldn't act rashly, and Burrell walks away from him. Henry is told by the leader, Fortis, that he wants his time and that he will even give him the opportunity to fight for it. Henry looks uneasy and goes to the restroom. Abruptly, Will charges in, knocks the man unconscious and pulls Henry away with him. Henry and Will flee from Fortis, while his men pursue them. After hiding behind an abandoned building and scaling a gate, they are able to get away. When one of the guys tells Fortis that he recognizes Will, they finally give up trying to catch up with the two. After getting to know each other, Henry tells Will that he is 105 years old. He explains his reckless behavior by saying that his mind is tired and that he wants to die. Will becomes angry when he compares his hard life working every day while people like Henry waste away. The truths of their horrifying reality are subsequently revealed by Henry. The cost of daily life is raised by wealthy individuals, which causes the poor to continue dying and giving the rich more time. There is enough time for everyone to live long. However, the wealthy are blinded by greed and their desire for immortality. Will is asked by Henry what he would do if he is in his position, with all the time in the world. Only if he has the time, Will responds. He is not going to waste it as Henry did. After the two go to bed, Henry considers what Will said. When morning arrives, Henry chooses to spend all save for the 5 minutes of his time with the sleeping Will. When Will eventually wakes up, he finds that he has more than a century of time. He searches for Henry and finds him on a bridge. Henry smiled as his last few seconds counted down and he fell into the river. Will visits Burrell later and finds Greta, Burrell's wife, holding their newborn. When Will asks for Burrell, he tells him how much time he has left. Burrell asks Will what he intends to do after he discusses what happened the previous day. Will plans to seek justice now that he has more time. Before going away, Will gives Burrell. Burrell looks across the street at the bar with his wealth in hand. Rachel tries to take the bus, but due to the increased fare, she finds herself unable to pay. She implores the driver and the other passengers, but to no avail. She takes off and runs on foot because she is desperate. Rachel is running out of time, and every second counts. Death is getting closer to her. At last, they get to see one another. Despite their best efforts, Rachel and Will are defeated by death. Rachel collapses dead into Will's arms. Will sobs, realizing that they are only a few seconds away from finally escaping poverty. His mother has no time, but Will has all the time he has ever wanted. Meanwhile, The body of Henry is taken out of the river by timekeepers. Raymond looks into the scene with his assistant Jaeger. Just as they walk away, Raymond notices a camera atop the bridge. In the meantime, Will is sitting in a car with a fresh haircut and a new suit on. He crosses the boundary separating the various social classes, the time zone. He passes many borders on his way, and each one has a toll that gets more expensive. Will pays a year to cross the last border, and the driver greets him warmly in New Greenwich. When the driver questions Will about his genuine motivation for visiting New Greenwich, he responds that he intends to make the town's residents pay. The whole city is not what Will expects. Still getting accustomed to life there with little sleep, he takes off jogging as soon as he gets out of the car. Glancing down at his arm, he begins to behave more like the calm person that he is. But Sylvia, a lady, had already taken an interest in him. Asking for a suite, Will walks into a hotel. Will awakens within his lavish room, unchanged at the age of 105. The unexpected loss of his mother still haunts him, even if he is sleeping in the coziest bed in the room with the greatest view. During dinner, he tries the exquisite food for the first time in his life. Each week, he tips the waitress and pays for his meal. The waitress remarks that Will acts a little rashly and that he doesn't behave like the other guests. In response, Will quips sarcastically that he never finishes anything important quickly. Will has to change into a new outfit before he can go to the casino. Will can be seen on the security footage in the timekeeper's headquarters. According to Jaeger, the man was traveling to New Greenwich and reportedly crossed many borders. Will walks inside and takes a seat at a poker table. Philippe, a billionaire, gets to know Will, who has won more than 2 centuries of time. Philippe adds 50 years to the pot. Will calls nevertheless, confident as the card turns out to be 6 of diamonds. Raymond claims to be familiar with Will's father as they continue to compile additional details about Will on the computer. Will's gaze leaves the game and focuses on Sylvia, the gorgeous dame who is seated next to Philippe. Half a millennium is revealed when Philippe rolls up his sleeves. He adds that the rich and the poor are just the result of natural selection at work. 2 additional centuries are raised by him. Will accepts and calls, leaving only 30 seconds left to Will. With a millennia in hand, Will wins out in the end. Philippe's boring life was made exciting by this. As he watches Will examining Sylvia, he inquires as to whether he believes she is his mother, wife, or grandma. Will only remarks on how attractive she is. Turns out, she is his daughter. They then invite Will to a party. Will uses his profits the following day to buy a brand new car, which he drives to Philippe's estate. 3 generations of ladies who look to be sisters are introduced to him there. Will doesn't fit in with the elite people. He's about to face an isolated night when Sylvia comes over. As they converse more and get to know one another better, they end up dancing. When she inquires as to whether he is from the ghetto, Will stays silent and doesn't answer her questions. Sylvia confides in him about her pointless existence and how time ties her. Will take Sylvia outside to the beach while Philippe and his partner keep a close check on the 2 of them. Sylvia and Will strip off and jump into the sea. They float naked on the ocean while the moon shines brightly on their body. Although Sylvia tries to pull away from him, the waves pull her in. Abruptly, a call comes from the coast, breaking the moment of romance. When they get back, Will is asked to play poker with Philippe, but the timekeeper storms in and confronts Will. Raymond introduces himself as they seat him in an office. He questions him about how he got over a millennium of time and why he is in New Greenwich. Will gives an honest reply and states that Henry handed it to him before taking his own life. Raymond questions his justification, seizes his time, and takes him into custody. Will confronts him about why he looks into suicides while ghetto killings occur on a daily basis. His comment shocks Raymond since it makes him think of Will's father. After attacking the timekeeper who was watching him, Will hurries outside to kidnap Sylvia. The 2 get into his car and leave through the kitchen. Raymond crashes over Will's car during a car pursuit, sending them off course. With quick maneuvering in reverse, Will narrowly avoids an approaching truck. They hide behind a bridge after misleading the timekeeper. The following day, they drive over traffic spikes while traveling on the highways. There are holes in the tires and they crash. The unconscious duo is approached by Fortis and his men. He steals Sylvia's time and immediately flees, leaving her with just 30 minutes. Will gives her a few minutes and they knock on Borel's door. Greta responds and tells Will that Borel died from alcohol poisoning. With just a few minutes remaining, Sylvia is anxious. They dash to the jewelry dealer to sell Sylvia's earrings. He senses their desperation and just offers 48 hours. As soon as they hear the timekeeper's sirens, Will accepts and they run for cover. They stroll around the city, referring to the family company owned by Sylvia. In exchange for Sylvia, Will phones Raymond and requests that Felipe move a millennium to the slum city. He will meet the same fate as his father, Raymond warns him, if he continues. While Raymond asserts that Will's father was engaged in riskier activity, Will claims his father died in fighting. As night falls, Sylvia settles into Will's apartment and inquires about his family. Will talks openly about her mother's death. He remembers how his father used to be a gambler, albeit on a different game. In order to pass the time, his father would engage in a game similar to gambling. Despite his wealth, his father's gestures of kindness ultimately led to his demise. Their friendship deepens as they learn more about each other and discover they are roughly the same age. The following day, Will checks to see if Philippe keeps up his half of the bargain. Sylvia feels disappointed with her father because he did not bother to pay for her release. Will still plans to let Sylvia go even though he didn't get his payment. She accepts a gun from him as a parting gift as he leads her to a telephone booth, and she kisses him in return. When her father answers the phone, she chastises him for not giving Will what he wants. As they talk, Raymond is pointing a gun at Will, who is standing behind her and unaware of it. When Sylvia turns and sees Raymond, she shoots him without thinking twice. Ray is bleeding, and Will is pointing a revolver at him. Rather than taking his time, he gives Raymond some, and the two take off in his car. Sylvia inquires about his plans while they are parked off the main road. Will tells her that she can still visit her father. However, Sylvia is not interested in going back to her dull life. Will then leans to get another kiss from Sylvie. Meanwhile, Philippe informs his associates that he did not pay the ransom money. Raymond enters the room and informs Philippe that her daughter expressed no desire for rescue. Philippe expresses regret and says his daughter's obstinacy is a result of Stockholm Syndrome. Regardless, Raymond tells him he is going to arrest his daughter. Raymond shows little interest in Philippe's attempts to entice him with time and leaves. Will shows Sylvia the correct way to shoot a gun the following day. They discuss Will's idea to give the people time, and she offers to assist him in obtaining the time he requires. At the neighborhood lending company, a truck slams through the windows. The two carry out a theft, taking as much time as they can. They urge the borrowers to take as much time as they need, who all came up at once. Later on that day, Will donates time to Greta, Maya, and even the timeline distributor who does time donations for charitable causes. Ferdis has persecuted and killed people for a long time. A 10-year reward for finding Will and Sylvia is then put on display. As everything is going on, Philippe keeps an eye on the news to learn about his daughter's persistent attempts to rob. Later that evening, the motel where the two are staying is surrounded by Raymond and the timekeepers. When Will and Sylvia realize they're cornered, they leap out the window to get away. Through the dimly lit passageways and streets, Raymond pursues them. A gunfight breaks out as they climb the rooftops. Raymond is lost as they successfully board a bus. Ferdis is still looking for Sylvia and Will. As he questions them, he makes threats to take their time. After someone passes away, a man approaches and claims to know where they are. The two discuss the difficulties they will soon encounter while sitting on the couch in the motel. They both understand that they will die if they get caught. Sylvia and Will get closer each time they come dangerously close to death. Unexpectedly, Fordis and his men knock on the door. Fordis offers Will the opportunity to compete for his life. Fordis offers Will a challenge to a game of strong arms, and Will accepts. Will fights until the very last seconds, at which point, when Fordis becomes distracted and wins. His subordinates get closer, and Will pulls a revolver from his leg, emptying Fordis's time while shooting everyone. Sylvia and Will are standing on a rooftop, watching as prices continue to rise. Will claims that every time the wealthy steal, the expense of living will only go up. Sylvia acknowledges this, but she has other ideas. The following day, surrounded by a large number of bodyguards, Philippe walks into a building. They see Sylvia, who requests to see this father. Will is one of the guards, and he aims a gun right at Philippe's head and kidnaps Philippe. A time vault with a million-year device is located in his office. Philippe tries to clarify that if that time ends up in the wrong hands, civilization will fail. According to him, there will always be someone prepared to provide the hope of immortality to others. Will loses control of his rage and aims a gun at him, but he eventually regains composure. Philippe is informed by Will that immortality is not worth a single person's life. After that, the two depart. Police cars begin to blockade the main road in the meantime. Will and Sylvia's car is shot at by the timekeeper, but they miraculously escape unharmed and smash through the toll booth before they reach the border. At the same time, Raymond is still after them. Just as they are about to escape to safety, they run into Raymond and collide with him. Raymond aims a gun at the two, but they manage to get away because the mass of people obscures his view. Raymond takes control of the vehicle, and the pursuit goes on. At last, they meet in the center of the street. Raymond acknowledges that he was raised in the streets and that after discovering ways to break free from poverty, he also came to terms with the harsh reality that the wealth between the rich and the poor will never close the gap entirely, as disparities persist due to systemic inequalities. It dawns on Raymond that his time is running out. He passes away instantly, and the two fill up theirs. With only a few seconds remaining, they sprint in the direction of Raymond's car. When Will arrives first, he is given his time. Next, he races to Sylvia, who is also running out of time. The two jump into each other's arms and survive to see another day. People are now entering more expensive zones by crossing boundaries. The movie ends as the Minutemen observe their social structure starts to crumble. On the other hand, Sylvia will carry on with their lives, heading toward a bigger time bank this time. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy this movie. See you on our next video.